Good morning. And yes, I am almost done with this flu. So my voice probably sounds a lot better. And it's early in the morning. I just wanted to follow up on some of the stuff that's been going on. I know I wasn't going to do a video, but, I just felt the need to kind of get my point out there that, yeah, the Fed raised interest rates again. And I said that back in October they were going to do that. And pretty much they did. They're going to continue to do that until they can't. Like I said, Fed raises interest rates until things break. And we're seeing things breaking, they're fracturing. But they need to raise interest rates because the reality of it is there's too much debt out there and there's too much risk. So they have to raise interest rates. Now, their reason for raising interest rates may be a little different than my reason for saying they need to raise interest rates. But they're raising interest rates because we don't live in a free market economy anymore. I know a lot of us like to think we're living in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And for the most part, we are free and we are brave people. But that freedom has been clamped down considerably by people who have made us believe that in order to feel safe, we have to have certain regulations and structures created. And in order to finance those certain structures and regulations, they need to tax the crap out of us. And the rest of the world has already gone through that, where the governments have said, you know what, you're not safe, so we need to tax the crap out of you. The global climate is changing, so we need to create global climate taxes to stop global climate change. Well, explain to me how paying money to the government stops the climate from changing. Climate has always changed. It will always change. There are, in fact, governments who can help to change the climate because they have abilities and technologies to do so now that we didn't have when I was a kid. Or maybe we did and we just hid it from the knowledge of the general populace. But the people are waking up to the fact that we can do things now that we didn't do in the past. So this is why I don't study charts so much. Do I know technical analysis on markets and economies? Yes, I do. For years I did that. I was a commodities specialist. And, I learned a lot studying charts and technicals, candlesticks and bar charts and all kinds of different charts. And to this day, I still do. I still look at my head and shoulder patterns, my descending wedges, my ascending wedges, all these things, my morning stars, my, all these different patterns out there. But the reality of it is I know that markets are manipulated. And it's just like sports. Some of you may not want to hear that, but when I was a kid, I used to watch basketball games. And the disparity between the winning team and the losing team's scores was a lot larger back then than it is today. Today, at most, you may see 20 points. But most of the time, the teams finish like 105, 100, 121 to 119. The games are so fixed that they stay close because they want that constant tension of the spectators. Now, overall, if you look at things in the economy, things are bad. They're not good. And if you look at the United States economy in particular, we have too much credit out there and we have very little manufacturing. So President Trump has been doing things to bring businesses back here. Does that mean we're right away going to recover? No. We still all have to crash because the rest of the world is in debt too. It's all over. We saw it in 2008. The pigs. That's why Greece had to get bailed out by the IMF. All these countries had to get bailed out by the IMF. They keep getting bailed out by the IMF. And then what does the IMF come in? They use this great word that makes them sound so noble and strong and principled and structured. We will give you money, but we will impose austerity upon you. This austerity really means something that you should already have. It's called discipline. Austerity means financial discipline. It means that you don't go out and spend like there's no tomorrow and borrow and borrow and borrow and borrow up to your credit limit and then spend it all. And then you don't have any income to pay back that borrowing. You don't have any income to pay your normal bills. No. Most of us should already have austerity, which is discipline. And discipline is the ability to control yourself, to go out and say, you know what, that's too much. I got a bill here I got to pay. I'm going to go pay here. And if I really want that, I'll remember it later and I'll come back to it. Or I'll wait for a sale. Or, you know what, I like that. I really like that Mercedes and I want it. And I really want it and I'm going to have it. But I'm not going to spend the money I have today to get that Mercedes today. And I'm not going to borrow into the future to get that Mercedes today, so that I have to keep working in the future to pay off for that expense of buying the Mercedes today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put off the Mercedes. I'm just going to budget for it. And every time a paycheck comes in, I'll sock away 20%, 10%, I don't know, a portion of my paycheck, 100% of my paycheck. I know somebody who did that. They really wanted a Mitsubishi Eclipse, which was new at that time. And the guy didn't want to finance it, but he was very disciplined. And each paycheck he would put away. I mean, the guy would not go to any restaurants. He was at home eating ramen for almost a year or two. His paycheck wasn't that great, but it was enough that after about a year and a half, 2 years, he was able to go to the dealership, negotiate extremely favorable terms for the price of the Mitsubishi Eclipse, and he just put all the cash down, walked out. Done. He paid it off. No prepayment penalty. He was able to lower the price so low because he got the interest rate so high with no prepayment penalty that he just walked out of the dealership with a brand new car that he saved for and paid for in cash. All his outright. That is austerity. It is discipline. And when a large institution like the IMF has to come in and institute austerity on your country, they're basically saying that you have no discipline. You have no self-control. So we're going to control you. So this is the problem. If you don't plan for the future, you're going to have big problems. Most people don't plan for failure, right? They just fail to plan. And by failing to plan, they achieve failure. And that is what's coming. So my overall outlook on the global markets is negative for long term. Why do I say long term? Because we don't live in a free market. Free societies allow things to work. So we would go into a Great Depression if we were in a free society. At this moment, we'd already be in it. And at this moment, we'd be deep in it. And at this moment, in a free society, we'd already probably be turning around and coming out of it. Because you don't have all the manipulation, all the people trying to stop the bad things from hurting us. And things are able to cycle out naturally and work themselves out normally to the point where they repair themselves quickly and efficiently. But when you get into government trying to drive this giant, complex system so perfectly between two poles, you're going to crash. You get a massive crash because there's no way they can do it. There are too many people at the top, too many people trying to make decisions. What President Trump did by sitting Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer down in the White House before everybody was a great favor to you. If you're intelligent and observant, you would see that what I'm saying is correct and what he did is correct. He's revealing to you that too many chiefs are running the asylum and there are no Indians. There's no one following. So no one's really able to steer. And he's saying because it's very difficult to steer, we have so many problems. We've had many problems for years. But President Trump is willing to take the blame for making certain decisions because certain decisions need to be made. And in that case, he was talking about a border wall. He said, I will take on the mantle, the responsibility of shutting down the government in order to fund the wall. Now, did they shut down the government? Yeah, not yet. But today's the day where we find out whether the wall gets funded. And what has Trump done? He started pulling troops from Syria and Afghanistan. Can he do that? Absolutely he can. So if he can't get the funding in one way, he'll do it from another way. By bringing the troops home, you don't need to pay all those people to stay overseas, active duty. They can go on reserve, they can go on vacation, go home to their families, enjoy their time with their families, which they probably really love, to do more than just sitting out in the middle of a shithole with a gun, waiting for someone to come over a hill or waiting to go over the hill to take out somebody. No fun. It's better to come home. So really, there is no one driving this massive engine, this massive beast. And the beast is going to descend into hell. And if it's a water beast and you're in the water with that beast, there's something called an undertow. You get this giant sucking rip current type effect that will pull you under the water as this giant mass sinks into the water. Because it's displacing all this water, and all that water has to move back in to replace the displacement that giant thing has done. So this is our economy. So do I believe we're in a crash right now? We may be heading towards it, but I still think there's a Santa Claus rally coming. So all you guys think I'm going to go back on that? No way, no way. And why do I think that? We only dropped 459 points yesterday. I didn't look at the markets today, but we only dropped 459 points yesterday. So if we're only like 500 down today, I'm still like, that's normal. That's the new normal of things in a managed market. Because if the market were true to what it should be, like I said, we would be dropping 5,000, 10,000 points in one day, 2,000 points in one day. We wouldn't be talking about 500, 800 points. Those are normal droppages. Rises in 300, 500 points. Those are normal rallies. To me, right this point, we're setting everybody up for all the negativity. And the negativity is going to set everybody up for the major Santa Claus rally that's coming. So I'm still saying, here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. So just be prepared for that. If you're shorting right now, yeah, you made a little money yesterday. You might make a little money today, tomorrow, who knows. But, not tomorrow because it's Saturday, of course. But, and the markets are closed on Christmas. But Santa Claus doesn't have to come on Christmas Day. He can come on the days after, until the New Year. So Santa Claus rally can still come. And it could be a shocking one. So if you're short, you might reconsider that one because you're going to get squeezed. So it's all a matter of, do you want to lose a little money right now by pulling out now and maybe pay commissions for not making any money, you break even? Or maybe you made a little money, take a little off the table, but it wasn't enough to make it a real profit. It's more just break even. Do that. Or you can wait until you're getting squeezed the hell out of you and you're like, when am I going to get out? Oh, it hurts too much. I just need to get out now. Kind of like I was in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was still up at like 10,000, dropped down to 8,000. I lost a lot of money there. And, I was like, dude, do I really want to be that cocky and say, yeah, I'm so hodl till I die that I'm going to just die? No, I pulled my money out. So, and I didn't pull it out of cryptos, but I pulled it out of Bitcoin and I put it into other cryptocurrencies in the meantime. And cryptos got a little bid yesterday, but doesn't mean much to me. I still don't see the panic, and I still don't see the capitulation in all other assets, which will require people to sell their assets so that they can accrue dollars because dollar liquidity is not there. There aren't enough people selling dollars. So if people want to buy dollars, they cannot get them. So banks are not lending. People are not buying things. They're going to cash, and they're going to want cash. So Like I said, shorting is what I consider a mimic of going to cash. It's a mimic because you're increasing the amount of dollars that you're going to have in your pocket because you're mimicking selling the market, but you don't really own the market. You're shorting it. So in other words, you're entering a position of you're selling a certain amount of stock which you don't really own it, and that's called naked shorting. You can do a covered short, but I don't want to get into those different types of shorting strategies. That would be up to you, because then I'd be almost like giving advice on how you should be shorting, because there are also ETFs that are inverse leveraged. There are multiple ways to, quote, short a market, and those are for you to learn about. I am shorting the market, and I've made a nice Christmas budget off of it, and I'm not too unhappy, and I'm not too nervous. I am still scared for the future, even if I make a lot of money, because guess what? If you're the only house standing after a hurricane or a fire has gone through, what kind of lifestyle is that? And trust me, you are a target. People driving through, looking at all the mess there, and they see this one house that's intact. The lights are on. The windows are open. They can see inside. It's fully furnished. There's all kinds of nice stuff in there. The bad guys are going to come after you like you wouldn't believe. So we're all going to feel it, even the people who are doing well. I believe we are going to go into a depression like we've never seen before. Is it all going to happen at once? No. Like I said, too many people are standing in the way of natural events occurring. So this is I'm going to say it, it's my final Christmas message to you. You alone know what I've said over the past. There's not much new. I give more clarification as videos go on, but for years I've been warning that this is coming. I haven't been shorting for years, but I've been warning that you need to start prepping. You need to start storing up food and water, and practicing firearms trading and unarmed fighting and disarming and all kinds of things. You need to get in shape. You need to have medications ready. These were things that I've been talking about through the past year. I even started talking about EDC, but I didn't really go too deep into that. I should probably start doing that now, because you need to learn how to carry things with you every day. So that's what EDC stands for, everyday carry. But for the most part, like I said, financial markets are not good. The economy of the world, not just the United States, is not good. And that's why we're seeing people going nuts in France, in Belgium. The yellow vest movement starting to spread to Canada. I've heard it's starting to come here to California, but people are still too insane to realize that Democrats are the bane of their existence. They are too arrogant to admit that they made mistakes by voting for Democrat. If you go on and listen to a lot of the comedians are Democrats, and they're liberal leftists. And they basically, they support Democrats and all the crap that they've done to destroy economies. So you're not going to find real information until you get real, because everybody's standing in the way. So you really need to start educating yourself about what's going on. All right? With that, I recommend to myself that I go to cash in these kinds of situations. And my way of going to cash is through shorting markets, certain markets, because not all of them are going to fall, but a majority of them are. And I will short them because it's not my cause to make them fall. It's my understanding that they are going to fall regardless, and they're going to fall for all of us. So I might as well just take them down, ride that wave. But my understanding that since shorting is mimicking going to cash, at some point cash is the ultimate end. They want cash, and you will want to go into cash. You will not want to be in a short position, because you will not be able to sell out of your short position in order to go into cash, because a short position is still an asset of some type, and it is not a cash equivalent, or a cash, I should say, a form of cash. So you will need to sell out of your short positions in order to go to cash when there's a liquidity crisis. And we're already starting to see a liquidity crisis in the banking system. So, and then at some point, the dollar, I believe, is going to evaporate because the Fed or the government will go very, very dovish. Right now, we're just looking for them to talk dovish, so we feel good about them raising interest rates. But the reality of it is they will go dovish. They will go mega dovish. Kind of like China's doing right now is what I hear. What I hear China's doing is that a lot of their manufacturers and their businesses are basically overproducing things because they don't want to appear like things are bad in their economy. But nobody's buying the stuff. So what is the Chinese government doing? They're guaranteeing those businesses. They're going in and saying, hey, I'm going to just make sure you get your employees paid, even though no one's buying your stuff, which is really where your employees make wages through production and people purchasing that production. The government's purchasing, they're monetizing it, basically. They're purchasing that production and nationalizing it at the expense of the taxpayers. And the reality of it is that that's not going to turn out well for them. They are going to see a stagflation like nothing because at some point their factories are going to have to shutter. They're going to have to stop producing. That's an economic slowdown. And they're going to have overcapacity, which is overabundance of things, which are being monetized in order to make it. So there's inflation there. So you're going to have a hyperinflationary depression type situation with them. It's stagflation, right, on steroids. Same thing will happen here in the United States. They will push cash into trying to get things to work that really shouldn't be working. Businesses that should be going bankrupt because they made bad decisions, like GE Capital, General Electric, or General Motors, or all these things that were bailed out by President Obama, President Bush, things that should have gone bankrupt. The government came in and had to fix because it's not safe to let things naturally go bankrupt. You and I, man, we make a bad decision with our money. That's it. No more cash. You starve. But these other places, oh, man, they make a bad decision. Government's got to bail them out. So this is what I'm saying. When government bails things out and they should be crashing, it leads to stagflation. It leads to a dead economy that just zombies along. And nothing really happens. No wages, nothing. It's just a great misery. But nobody's starving to death yet. And costs aren't so high that you can still drive around. So they continue to do it. So it's going to be very interesting coming along. I just want to warn you about those things. So when I talk about the dollar milkshake theory, a dollar is going to rally, yes, that's still coming. And when I tell you that the dollar is going to crash, yes, that's still coming, but that's further down the road, depending upon how bad this economy crashes. Because if the economy crashes really bad, and we see the stock market go really crash nutty, and that's when the government may start buying stocks to keep them alive. Even though the Fed has said they're going to shrink their balance sheet, we all know that's not going to stay permanent. So that's my message to you guys. Take care. Be alert, be wise, be prepared. If you like my stuff, smash that thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to seeing my channel. And hit that little bell there, the gray one, so that you know that you're notified whenever I make a new video. But probably I won't until next year in January. So Happy New Year to everybody. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And most importantly, share this information. Share this video to other people. You may steal what I say, but you don't steal what I know. So at some point, you can copy my videos and probably post them as your own, but you're not going to be able to explain it when people ask you how the things work. So anyway, make sure you share my stuff. That's what I'm saying. All right. So Happy New Year. Have a good one. Merry Christmas. Take care.